There we go. So I'll go through some of the concepts, some of the things that I hope everyone really understands about their partnerships with agencies, and really hopefully retooling and reconceptualizing and approaching it from a little bit of a different angle so that you make sure you're in front of the agencies, that you're falling into the path that they need to be on. This is a really great idea of kind of where agencies are thinking and how they perceive what's going to make them excel in their business and what they're thinking about most. This was a few years old, but still a hyper relevant report from HubSpot, and I linked to it there. I'll give you guys the slides afterwards, but agencies are focusing on new business strategies and they need to diversify services. And some of you do not have an application that allows agencies to really build robust services around it, but that doesn't mean you can't still fit into their service line. So that's what that's meant to help you think about. We had a really awesome poll in the collective. Thanks to Will, Francois, Sanir, Stacy, some of you who have replied to this poll, but it's about making sure that while you're building out your program, you're not putting commissions as that central aspect of the program. I was talking to an agency yesterday and Melissa was on that call, and the guy literally said, he's like, it's great to have commission. It kind of pays me back for some of the time that I spent on the program, learning it, all that stuff on calls, but it's not going to make or break my relationship. Some of the things that we want to all make sure we know and keep in mind while we're going about this partner acquisition and partner program development. These are the key concepts, the FAQs that you should have in mind when you are going into those first calls and first emails. So if you're going to send out an email, don't send it out unless you've explained in that email clearly what you're offering them today that will contribute to their goals. And we talk a lot about co-marketing and co-selling and some of the things that you can do together, but make sure you frame it and make sure it's impactful at least before you send it out. Not let's get on a call and discuss things, but exactly what you're going to do to help them get to their goal. The second one here, when and how does the agency partner get referrals from your from you? So, or traffic and referrals can be synonymous, but the important thing is you need to quickly make sure you answer this question, whether it's on a call or on an email. Make sure they understand, if I'm going down this track with you, at what point am I in front of your users and how am I in front of your users? Is that a manual process? Do you introduce me? Do you put me in a directory? Do you include me in co-marketing? How and when and where? Where is the agency required? This is something so many tools and products and partner teams get wrong. And a good anecdote was from Connor about his relationship with Aircall specifically. Aircall tried to go around Connor in many of his relationships where he referred one of his clients to Aircall and they would just take it from there. And they never really came back to Connor for things that they wanted that user of Aircall, which is a client of Connor's, to do. That muddied the relationship. You need to make sure that you put the agency in the middle and keep them in the middle if that's their choice. Some agencies will strictly refer, send them to you and not care, but most of the agencies that we talk to really want to make sure that they know what's going on, that they're referred back to for any questions, concerns, issues with the stack, that kind of stuff. What sales training, co-sales support, anything that your team provides, make sure that that's in there as well. Let's go into partner acquisition concepts. This is one of the ones that will be new for most of you. But concept number one, owning your funnel, products, strategies to make sure that you can be at least a little bit in control. So you're not relying on sales and relying on marketing and relying on product to get things done. Concept number two, collaborate with marketing. How do you have those conversations? How do you frame what you need from marketing in a way that the marketing lead will understand and want to help you with and want to be involved in? Concept number three, little typo there, pitching ideas, not partnerships. We harp on this a lot too, but we'll go over that one more time. And then these new types of relationships and how valuable they can be to you in terms of just content only partnerships and not pushing an agency that could be a tremendous collaborative partner of yours to purchase your product and join the program and go through those steps of being a referral partner. They may never want to be or be, but they can still be a great partner. So we'll talk about that. Concept number one, how to own your partner funnel. So we list a lot of tools in this accelerator. We make sure that you guys know that you don't have to use what's built for partner teams. You can use what's built for heads of marketing, what's built for sales teams, what's built for just tactical marketers, and use those as your partner stack. You can do that. Directories. We talk about apideck.com. We talk about Airtable under Stacker. These are inexpensive ways to throw up a directory on a subdomain that looks really good that you can control. Community and onboarding. For under $200 per month, you can have an LMS plus a community and have killer onboarding. Journey's free. Mighty Networks has a free option, but if you want to have courses and events like ours does, it's $99 a month, but still very inexpensive. Data tracking, monitoring, enrichment, that kind of stuff. Wizza on top of Sales Navigator. Ocean.io for finding lookalike data of agencies or tech. You can enter a URL for an agency and it'll find you all of the other records in their database that look just like that record. Really cool. Lead Feeder, add it to your directory, add it to your website if you can. And inside Lead Feeder, since it's connected to LinkedIn's API, it will allow you to siphon off segments of website traffic that are marketing and advertising companies, meaning digital agencies. So you can just collect an automated list of digital agencies that are in your funnel. But you got to set up the pixel, you got to get that done. And sometimes that's hard because we don't own our funnel. But if we owned that directory and we were able to set that pixel, or we will then be able to set that pixel without having to go to product and marketing and all that stuff. Concept number two, how to collaborate with marketing. Very tough question. I think, Will, you and I had a call about this, but the hard part here is, it seems like we're just coming with obligations to the marketing department. We need this, we need these assets, we need to be inserted here and here and here. And marketing, I think sometimes because of the framing of the conversation, they look at it like that, like it's an obligation, like it's not going to help me with my KPIs, my metrics, my goals. So what we suggest doing is first having quarterly meetings with marketing where you're hearing all of their goals. What keywords are they after? What new verticals are they trying to get into? What key product aspects or features are they trying to highlight in marketing, in the blog, in any of their campaigns, any of their PR, any of that? Make a list of all those things. And then you can go about picking out what types of personas that you have to go after as well that are also going after those keywords and are also interested in talking about those integrations and those features and all that stuff. Then you come back to marketing with, hey, we have these types of agencies in our target list. They're RevOps agencies that want to talk about HubSpot's new platform launch. And I know that you told me that we need to get more RevOps keywords and RevOps discussions going on in our ecosystem. Well, we've got this guy over here. He's an influencer around RevOps. He's an influencer in the HubSpot space. Can we bring him in and do a couple of highlights? Yes, of course, webinar, maybe, blog post, maybe. And you start to make those easy wins happen. And then marketing starts to get the idea of, okay, well, not only is this third-party, unbiased, expert sourced content that my partner team's bringing to me, but it's also free in a sense, it takes a little time, but I'm not buying it. So it's not out of my budget. And then you try to start to peel off a content calendar of partner sourced content, right? So if you don't already have that, try working it from that angle. Come to them with what they need to get done in that quarter. Build the list of exact agency segments, exact agencies under each one of those segments, and then come back to them with some ideas on what we can do to make sure you're hitting those keyword goals. And we're also highlighting our partners in that content. Concept number 3, remove your product and program from the initial conversation. Very tough one to grasp, because you think, I'm here to talk about my partnership and my program and my product. And no, make it about what you're going to do together, that thing that you want to do. Always have that thing. And if you don't have something to include that agency in specifically, like, hey, we want to include you in this article or this webinar, or this white paper, whatever, get a little more creative and think about what product releases you have coming that have a date and have a lot of PR behind them. Start to get some numbers from marketing on how many people is that PR announcement going to reach? Who is it going to reach? Where is it going to go? And then go back to the segment of partner targets that you have that would love to get some of that traffic and some of those eyeballs of that PR campaign, like a Salesforce integration. You got a Salesforce integration coming out. Any agency that isn't a Salesforce consultant loves to be in that conversation and in front of those types of eyeballs, right? In front of that traffic. So come back to them and put that in your outreach, saying, we've got a great integration coming out. We're going to be doing a ton of PR. We're going to be blasting it all over social, all over our newsletters. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to bring a lot of traffic to our blog, a lot of traffic to our partner directory. We need to have consultants ready to answer these calls. I'd love to get you involved in this campaign. Can we schedule some time, right? And then you're saying, okay, it's ephemeral. It's coming out in 2 months. I need to get you in now so that you're warmed up to take some of that consulting time when it's overflowing from our customer success department. When our clients need help with this integration and we can't give them the help they need, we need extra consultants. Concept number 4, content only partnerships. And this is the one that the revenue leaders hate, but super impactful. I know Postal, you guys did that awesome webinar with Caitlin and Connor. You guys are doing a lot of cool stuff over there. I see that all the time. And the agencies that I know are more influential type agencies. They have a voice. They speak on a lot of panels. They have this type of influence over other agencies. This is the important thing. Agencies follow other agencies. So if you're going to that type of influential agency that has their stack pretty well defined and has a ton of inbound business, if you're coming to them with leads and implementation opportunities and all that stuff, they may not be interested in that, even because they have so much inbound, they have so much deal flow. But what they have to do is maintain their thought leadership. They have to maintain their status. So they're thinking about, instead of like, I need pipeline, they're thinking about, I need to make sure this pipeline closes. And if my face and my brand aren't all over the place related to these keywords, I'm not going to be able to close that pipeline. I'm not going to be able to show that trust. So that's what they're thinking about a little bit differently. So if you come to them with, become a referral partner and implementation partner, that may fall flat. But if you come to them with, hey, let's just do stuff together. Let's just do these types of quarterly XYZ together. Start a series, do a micro podcast with these types of individuals. Do something that just keeps their face showing up next to your brand. Here's some ideas. Retargeting ads, I do want to mention that one. The others you guys all know, but the retargeting ads, I don't see enough of. I think this is a super actionable opportunity to work between marketing and partnerships. It's where you can do 2 things at once. So you need assets for partners. You need those unbranded assets. So you can go to marketing and say, hey, that Salesforce integration that's coming out, do we have any assets created about that Salesforce integration? That means ads, infographics, competitor analysis, one-pagers, anything. Give me all that, but please remove our logo from it before you send it over. It's going to be part of our marketing. Our partner assets. Get all of those, find out what you have. If you do have ads and you do have a little bit of a budget, you can go to one of those top agencies that already advertises and say, hey, we've got this integration coming out. I'd love to flow some budget your way, as well as a discount. If you can do that, that would be even better. So then they are creating the campaigns. They are sending out the campaigns using your ads that are already approved by marketing. They just put their logo on it. And they're sending people to a landing page on their site that talks about how that integration works. You've given them all that content, all that resource, and you offer to pay for the ad spend. So now it's coming through your partner. Anybody that converts becomes partner sourced revenue. It comes right back to you, right? Okay, I'll stop there for just 1 minute in case there are any questions, but we do have 2 more sections. So let me know if you have any questions at this point. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. All good? Okay. So the flywheel process, this is dovetailing off all the concepts that I just mentioned. But what you want to create for your partner program is this system of here's what's going on over the next 12 months, ideally. Maybe you just know next 3 months, 4 months, but you want to have an idea of all of the things that are coming out. And then you have to bucket them and say systematically, which partner personas does each one of those things potentially benefit, frame how they benefit from it, get some data on what numbers are going to be impacted from those things that are coming out. Those things could be those big integrations. They could be product pivots. You know, maybe your product is about to do a big pivot. Maybe you're launching some new strategic alliance with someone. And then, of course, your partner sourced content calendar, if you have that approved. So you lay that out in your own partner calendar, agenda, whatever you do to manage your partnerships. And then you build up that list of, okay, here's all the segments. And then you go about enriching data under those segments. So the easiest example is that Salesforce example. You've got your Salesforce integration coming out in 2 months. That's going to benefit anyone that talks about Salesforce implementation. I'm going to go out to Sales Navigator. I'm going to type in quotes, Salesforce consultant, and then or in quotes again, Salesforce partner, or in quotes again, Salesforce solutions partner. And I'm going to get a list of marketing and advertising agencies or technology and services and start enriching that data, use Wizza, export the emails, get them all in one place, right? And then formalize your outreach campaign saying 2 months from now, we've got this coming out. Grab that data that you got from marketing. How many people are going to see this? How much PR is it going to get? Then say where they're going to be placed, directory, and we're going to do a series of articles featuring consultants, and then what they need to do to get involved, right? Create those buckets and those campaigns. So the personas that we're referring to in this, and apologies if this doesn't hit your personas, but content only partners, like I just mentioned, and then the implementation partners. That's the important thing. So most of these things that you're going to create campaigns around to reel partners into are going to be focused on those partners that can help set up your solution, integrate your solution, and really get services added on top of your solution. So they become an extension, not only of your sales team, but of your customer success team, those types of partners. You can co-sell with them, of course, and maybe they resell, of course, but we're just going to focus in here a little bit more. So the concept is everything that I just mentioned put into a process. So it's every quarter you meet with marketing, you plan all that stuff out. Marketing has the product calendar as well, so they can be that source for you there, so you don't have to meet with product and marketing. Define those personas, create those offers underneath each persona, enrich those small targeted lists. Don't enrich 5,000. If your list is over 200 agencies, it's too big. Refine that. And, if it's 500 agencies, all you do is just delineate titles and say, okay, let's go after CEOs with this messaging. And then let's go after heads of marketing or heads of sales with this messaging. Create that partner source content calendar for these targets, right? That's what I mentioned around, hey, we've got these things coming out. This target can sit under these items. This target has access to these items. Get really well organized about what's going on there. Target those lists with those offers, mention the data, mention what's going on, who's it going to specifically, Like if you've ever talked to anyone about being on a podcast, you probably ask the questions about who's the audience, before I sign up to do your podcast, how many people is it going to be in front of? So put yourself in those shoes and give them those answers in that first outreach. Promote that content published to the retargeting lists. Some of us can do this, some can't, but you imagine, like, as you're doing this, you're creating a wake of leads that didn't reply to your last campaign. You want to promote that partner sourced content that you've published to that wake. Retargeting is the easiest way to do that, but some of us, again, don't have that access. But if you can, great. How to align with marketing. I mentioned this a little bit, but here's one more slide that kind of dives a little bit deeper. You meet on those keywords, create the content calendar, repurpose those digital assets that I mentioned, ask them for the same assets they already have, just remove the logos. It takes 5 seconds. Then you create a retargeting ads budget where you provide the agency with those assets with an offer and give them a reason that they should be promoting whatever that is that you guys have. Now, what to do next related to this section? Book some time with marketing. Let them know that you want to get to know their keywords. You want to get to know their content calendar. You want to get to know what is going on and how you can weave your activities into it for mutual benefit. Gather up those lists of ideas after that. Start to define your partner personas under each segment. And then enrich the list. Okay, I'll stop there. Any important questions that you want to get off your chest before we move on about the flywheel? Anything at all?
I got a question. I've noticed some of the partnership ecosystems are so big, they start feeling a little bit contrived. Once you're becoming one of 600 partners or something with the agency, you're like, oh, far out. Is this even, going to get me anywhere? What do you say to that?
So you're saying the agency has too many partners, or, oh yeah. I mean, that's your Hawk Medias of the world that have, I think they're going on 700 tech partners right now. Yeah. So, you kind of have to pick and choose your battles. And I tell all my partner teams this that ask me, they all want to go after those big quote unquote fish, those logos, use them as that, use them as a logo, put them on your partner page. And I mean, I hate to say this because Ashley is a friend, but forget about it. Honestly, they'll come to you when they need you. It is not worth your time. I have heard
that's a real interesting insight because, I'm finding smaller firms with few partner relationships, they listen way more,
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a situation where you want to go after those people, individuals, right? You pick out those individuals that you want to work closely with that seem to be in a lot of places, work with them. So it's not about building a relationship with Hawk Media, about getting your solution into their tech stacks. That's going to be a waste of your time. What it is building a relationship with Ashley and a couple of the partner individuals to do stuff with them. And that will be more impactful because then other agencies see it. Hawk Media has about 1,500 agency contracts, white label and referral. And all of those agencies, they kind of see the same stuff that Ashley sees.
That's really helpful. Thanks.
And then part 3, understanding expert implementation partner personas. Again, not all of you will have this, but it's important to know who these people are, what they care about, right? Implementation partners, sometimes they're reselling. They are experts. They want to own the stack, so to speak. They don't just let their clients go and do whatever. A client comes to them with strategic help and the client buys whatever software that they recommend. So you don't go to an Aptitude 8 and say, yeah, not really into HubSpot. Can you build out my Copper instance and connect all this stuff? They'll say, no, go take a hike, come back to us when you want to work on our stack, right? Or work with our stack. Great partners to have, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes you have to nurture it a little bit more. You should have to nurture it a little bit more, unless they're coming to you because they want your product and then they just happen into the partnership's lap. One of my friends, Alex here from Old North Collective, brilliant dude. His IQ is off the charts. His services around NetSuite, was Bronto. Needs to get removed. They're gone now. Sweet Commerce, and he does Big Commerce now. But his position people will come to him with strategic guidance, and he will do the full implementation and hire all contractors underneath. So if it's a really big implementation, he'll spin up a bunch of contractors, get it done, and his clients will all be on one of those main tools that he is a certified implementation partner. His big thing is, he's doubling down on the lifetime value of those clients, and he really needs to make sure he has a ton of support in the process and getting those things done. So if you're integrated with one of the tools in his stack, you can come to him with that service line revenue, that thing that he can sell those clients that are on that stack that's relevant to his business. You get to know his services that he advertises, what he talks about, and come to him with a one-to-one type of relationship proposal. Same thing with Connor. We all met him. Same ideal. These two are both CEOs. So I'll show you a partner manager persona in a second. That's a little bit different. Their agency size is small. Connor has doubled since this. It's I think he's at around 25 or so, but they're not large agencies, but they can be the best possible partners for you because they do a good amount of implementations every year, but that's not where they come in handy. They come in handy because, or Connor specific, if they are your partner, they're advertising it, they're talking about it, they're working with you, and agencies in the HubSpot ecosystem see Connor's face everywhere. So if you're next to Aptitude H logo and different things, agencies that want to be like that, they're going to, come into your funnel. Then there's partner managers at great agencies, right? So similar type agency, TrueJ, they do implementations of CRM. They're mid-market plus all the way up to enterprise, not a large agency, under I think 60 or so employees. And they're doing very intense and large implementations. You're going to talk to Gabby at first. And the strategy there is first and foremost, what is on her plate? What does she need to get done from a partner standpoint? And then you go back to the drawing board, figure out exactly what you can do to help her reach that metric that she needs to hit and get done. Do some co-selling and account mapping, and then work some overarching co-marketing agendas on top of that, right? So be very one-to-one again, find out what she's up to and approach her that way. The pros and cons of these two types of partners, partner managers in general, I think most of us know this by now. When you're coming to a partner manager, and this is actually opposite. I think this should be here. Partner managers don't sell to their clients. They don't talk to their clients about the tech stack. Implementation partners that are the CEOs that you're going to talk to, those will have influence over the tech stack. They will be on strategic calls with a lot of their larger clients. They will be putting your solution into services. Little bit different. So very valuable if you do have that type of relationship with a CEO, but harder to get involved with. Easier to come in through the partnerships angle because they have traffic and revenue metrics that they have to get done. So Gabby's sitting there picking up the phone and calling on tech companies to do stuff together because she has to hit her metrics. The strategy is snowballing that into how can we make sure to get in front of your sales team. And I tell all my agencies and my partnership managers this is do a sales presentation trade where you tell them, hey, invite me to do a presentation for your sales team. I will invite you to do a presentation for our sales team. So you'll invite Gabby and one of her strategic leads into your lunch and learn, bring your top salespeople into that, and let them present how their agency builds out robust implementations and all this cool stuff. So your salespeople know now to refer to them if they need something very specific done. Win-win. That's a good proposition. How to enable agencies like these, show them how you can help earn new business. That's typical. Always make sure that you show them the track, right? What is the path to implementation partner status? If you forgot this, Connor did mention in his presentation that it will cost him around $4,000 to have a lunch and learn, to have you come in and do a lunch and learn, because he's paying all of those team members hourly for that lunch and learn. So understand that. So show them the path to success as even if it's over video, over your journey, show them exactly what time frame it takes, how many hours. I'd go into a little bit more detail when you're talking to the CEO about this. So there's a 3-month path to becoming that expert status. There's this many hours from this many people involved in that track. So they can start to do the math and say, is it worth it for me to do this now, or should I put it off to next quarter? Don't be scared about putting those numbers in there. You want to make it super clear to them. Here's what I'm asking you to do, but I'm going to do all these things for you while you're doing that, so that it's not just you do for me, and then if you do for me, I'll do for you later. It's no, I'm going to do for you now while you're doing for me, and we're on this track together. Give them something tangible to sell, even if it's as simple as like your next client referral is going to have a free first tier account with my product. Give them something tangible to sell. The best way that you can enable an agency is if you obviously get that first client of theirs to opt in to getting the implementation done. That's the best way. So give them something, give them a tangible conversation to have with that agency. If you have to run an account mapping routine, if they're willing to pick out that URL, say that's a perfect client of my product or a perfect user, then give them a specific offer to make that specific URL, try to get that done. And then make sure you're instilling trust and support. And one thing that not enough partner teams, sorry if you guys can hear that, not enough partner teams do, is to make sure that the agency knows your head of product, or at least your product manager, someone on the product team. Your agency knows exactly where everything's at to get things done, who they need to call, and give them calendar links. So if you've ever onboarded into a complex software and you're just sitting there in email threads with these people and they're not giving you a calendar link, and you're just like beating your head against the wall saying, I need to talk to someone, I need to screen share with you, I need to show you what I'm seeing, and they're just not giving you that. And it's the most frustrating thing in the world. And that's if we want to implement software. Imagine if the agency is trying to get something done for their clients and they don't know who to talk to, and they're not getting the type of support they need. There's no chance of that partnership working out. And then we go into final part here, incentives and outreach. So questions about the personas that we just went through, questions about these guys before we move on? No? Okay, so some of this will be repetitive, but we're going to just hammer it in there because I think it's one of the most broken aspects of partnership. I just see emails coming to me from agencies that we work with. They just forward me these emails all the time, and they're some of the saddest things I've ever seen. So you got to get your outreach squared away. So you have your targets and you have your co-marketing partners. You've got some content out there. You've got some stuff. So you want to make sure that your incentive structure is aligned and that you are creating the right types of content with the right types of partners. And you have obviously the incentives that are not commission centric, but they are revenue centric. So the concept is this: it's like you have a path to bringing them revenue. Commission may be a small part of that, but your bigger agenda is like, this is what we are going to do together to make sure that traffic and eyeballs and conversions are flowing to you. You're going to be listed in our directory. We're going to make sure our CS team knows you. We're going to bring you in for a lunch and learn with our sales team so that they know you. We're going to make sure to push your memorandum into our team meetings so that they know who you are and what you're up to. And then anytime we have this type of integration coming out that's related to your stack, I'm going to call on you to do a video, interview, blog post, something about it, right? Show them that you really care about driving them business. Highlight them everywhere you can, stroke that ego, make them famous. A quick win that I believe I originally got from Corey Snyder over at MorrowPost is to look at your database and find out who in your partner ecosystem are good at selling versus good at content creation, versus savvy implementation partners. These three buckets, right? You should be leaning on your partners differently for different things, right? Your savvy implementation partners, these are people like David from marketing. I forget he's got a really generic agency name, but one of the top Marketo implementation. He's number one, I think, Marketo for a while. The guy kills it at implementation of anything Marketo related, Salesforce and Marketo together. The guy doesn't talk about himself. He does not advertise. It's really hard to even know he exists, but he's got 30 plus people working for him and they crush it at enterprise level Marketo stuff. That is the type of person you need to find in your partner ecosystem. Same thing with your content creators, those that are out there a lot. They're creating a lot of content. Their face is on a lot of stuff. Tag them as something like content creator in your partner database so you know who those people are. And then there's those that are, they hate selling, right? So the salespeople versus those that hate selling. I think there's two sides to that there. You want to make sure that if they struggle with the sales process, but they're killer, sometimes they're designers, sometimes they're really good on the creative side, but they need to grow. They know they need to grow, but you know, and they know that they struggle with sales. Those are really great opportunities for you to come in with some co-selling incentives, some stuff that you can do to help them with their sales process. So the do's and don'ts of cold outreach, hyper segment. I'm not going to harp on this too much. Same kind of thing. Offer value right away. Don't ask them to partner. Don't ask them to sell your product. So outreach steps for each segment. Publish the collaboration first. Load that content to your retargeting campaigns, then to your LinkedIn connections, and then to your email and call requests, right? So you want to make sure that you're using everything that you're doing for the right segment in as many channels as you can. Some of us have to do this manually, but make sure that you're creating that system to get more awareness on what you're doing. We've all seen this. It's in the cold outreach guide, so I don't need to go into this too much more. But the main thing is calling them an expert, telling them exactly what it is you're talking about that you want them included in. If it's a title, that's even better. If it's a integration that's coming out, mention that, the dates, and then how many people are going to see it. And then if you're able to give them a free account in return for the time, offer them a free account. And then I'd go one step further and mention a question at the end. You know, who should I talk to for each of these things? So if I'm an agency owner, I want you to give the free account to my head of blank, but I want you to talk to my head of marketing about this event, right? So if you're able to include somebody else, I just did this with a podcast. I reached out to a friend of mine who's the founder, but he just hired a head of partnerships. So he wants to highlight her instead of him. So he said, no, Alex, thanks for the offer, but I'd love for April to do it instead of me. So now I'm talking to April. So just mention, like, instead of saying, hey, tell me if you're yes or no into this, make it easy for them and say, who should I talk to for each one of these situations? I'm going to send you the slides so you can review the bad one and another bad one. This one's one of my favorites. I wanted to see if you're interested in becoming an affiliate, and that's it. And I said, what's my incentive? I love that one. That was a funny conversation with somebody. So co-marketing partners to co-selling partners. A lot of the revenue leaders out there will push back on this stuff and they'll say, oh, you want to bring all these, no, we don't know who they are into our content. They haven't committed any revenue events for us. What are you doing? Create a plan, sell them on the plan. These are the 10 steps that you can execute on to make sure that you're starting with what it is. But before those things get published, your account mapping to create that source of attribution. You know, who do we have overlapping today versus post co-marketing? So if we have something going out together in 2 months, let's account map sometime before that and see that there's 10 people we're both talking to today. And then after that co-marketing event, now there's 15 people that are in our shared pipeline. that means it was effective. And not only that, if you use the attribution argument with the agency and say, we need to attribute the success of this, you're speaking their language, but then it's a quick conversation to say, you see that overlap, or they'll probably even ask you, they're going to say, well, what do we do about this overlap? There's some people in our prospecting pipeline or stage in our pipeline that are in your, closed one, that are users of your tool. How can we get our agency in front of those specific URLs? Because we want them. And you can start the conversation there. And it's all reciprocity based. No agency is going to ask you for something without expecting you to ask them for something in return. So if you can create the ask first, you win. See you, Philip. I know it's late there. Thanks for joining, man. Oh, and by the way, in about a minute, Philip, you'll get an email with your certification and everything. Everybody will. So, okay, now that your team knows who and how to enable, we need to add stickiness to our program. We call this circles. This is a great strategy. So what you want to find is what integration partner has what agency partner who is also in your program. This is called the circle. So it can be 2 tools, even better if you can. So a good example of this is that scenario with Connor and I think it was either Postal or SalesLoft, something like that. But what happened, or what needs to happen, is you need to find those agencies that are partners with one of your integrations. So they're partners with SalesLoft and you have a SalesLoft integration. That's step 1. Step 2 is who else are they partnered with that are also integrated with SalesLoft and your solution. That's step 2. Step 3 is figuring out what they can do with the 3 of you combined. That's super interesting. And then you can wrap content and a case study around it, right? So you want to come to them with that idea of, did you know you can do this, this, and this, and it's creating really awesome. You'll see this a lot with e-commerce. I see it more with e-commerce than B2B actually, but a lot of tools will come together and they'll talk about this full funnel scenario that works with their 3 integrations, right? Some of these are buried in help documents. So look into your docs, help dot, whatever your URL is, or docs, or whatever it is, and find out those detailed integration pages that you see that have screenshots and it has multiple tool options. Dig those out and then look for partners of those tools. So you'd enrich a list of Salesforce consultants. Then you'd go down those URLs one at a time to their partner pages and look at their other partners and find some that are also integrated with your solution. And then go back to product and say, what can we do with this? And they'll hopefully dig up some help docs and hopefully you have a resource and you can create a bigger campaign around it. So you can say, did you know you can do X, Y, and Z with this? And then we worked with Connor to showcase how it's done. And he records a quick video about it. And then you start promoting that to people that look like Connor. Use Ocean.io, lookalike data, get with marketing, get some of those ads going, and create what we call those circles. If you can find and create a lot of those, your program is going to be super duper sticky, super sticky. That's why that ecosystem is so important, because those circles can't get created unless you have a good app ecosystem, right? So what we're after with this accelerator and with everything that we're doing is program market fit. We want to have successfully executed co-marketing campaigns that did end in co-selling routines. We want to make sure that's a successful practice. We want partners on the track, on course to offering new services. Super important. Even if they're not there yet, if they are committed to that track and they've already sunk resources into it, you've got them. They're not going to go backwards typically. So keep them on that track, get those done. Partners are submitting referrals and asking for credit for those referrals regularly. That's good. If they're asking you, hey, I did this, what's going to happen? That's good. Keep those conversations going. And then partners are eager to submit their product feature needs. That's another sort of, call it a metric to support the success of your program. If you don't have a product board URL from your product team, get that public facing product board URL, and there's a submit a feature request option in the top right. Find out how many feature requests have come in, look down the list, and when you're talking to your higher ups, say, we've got 10 feature requests from agencies in our program just last week. Or maybe they're not in your program, but an agency submitted a feature request. If you have the right product board or some of these other tools, you get their email, reach out to them, find out what they're doing. They're clearly invested in your product. So get that data. 90-day plan. First thing I would do is start with the segmentation and getting a good idea of who's in your database and start to, refine that a little bit. Another good strategy, I think, also from Corey Snyder is, look inside of your CRM for for user accounts that have multiple admins, but those admins are not all from the same URL. So you should be able to get an export of all the administrator emails per account. So it'd be account and then all the administrator emails. Look through that sheet and look for emails that don't match. So if the administrator A is this URL and then the second administrator is a different URL, probably a consultant, probably a service provider. It's probably their agency. Pull those out. Those are quick, easy wins. You can email them and ask them what they're doing with that account. Love to highlight them, showcase their case study if they have one, and talk to them about it. Find your tech partners to co-sell with. Yes, you want to generate some content with these people, create those circles, make sure that you've got at least the process in work, in a process that you can work in process, right? And then start your co-selling routine with some of those circles that you've developed. So think about it like a very one-to-one, not scalable approach to start if you're early on. If you're way past this, think about it in your own way. But I would say, even if I'm past this, I still want to create a new sort of revenue stream or partner sourced stream that could be focused on one of our integrations. And I want to build circles around that one if I have all this other stuff going on. So I continually want to build the stickiness of the partner program, but also the value of the partner program in general. So every quarter, if you've got stuff going on, find that new thing, explore that, find one agency, find it one tech partner manager that has already partnered with them, find one more that you guys are all create this cool workflow around, build a case study, do a webinar, create some content around it, and then retarget all the agencies that look like that one. And then all of a sudden you've got other agencies wanting to create that same service that agency created, and they're on their way. They've got the partner track. They're watching all that stuff. They're in your journey. And then next quarter, you're doing the same thing. You want to penetrate with one of them at a time, and then let the content and the retargeting build the value and build that exposure and all that good stuff. Cool. I think that's it. Awesome. We do have a little bit of time if anyone wants to ask any specific questions. Otherwise, happy to do more one-on-ones if you want to go into depth on your specific service detail. Anything at all?
I got a question. Internally at Marcello, there's a dawning realization that probably for years, most of our clients have had agencies behind them, and we've just never been asking the question, what's the best strategy you've heard of that a sales team or a frontline sales team can use to find out about the agencies behind the company? Because we get a lot of them coming in the front door, and then we don't even know. And what percentage of companies, like retailers that have, say, 5 or more staff, wouldn't have an agency, for example, at some point in their journey?
Oh yeah, no, I got a good one. This is Ashley Hildreth from Clyde, formerly Trustpilot. She said she does this with her Salesforce instance. She has a field in the Salesforce contact account for agency. Who's the agency of this account? She instructs, and she spiffed for a little while, I think. Ashley, if you listen to this, I'm hoping to quote you correctly, but she spiffed those salespeople with something, I don't know, gift cards or something else, when they filled out that field. And that field was programmed to create a Slack notification. I think it may have also emailed her when it was filled out.
Right.
Met with the salespeople, and she said there's a new block inside Salesforce that is partner details. I desperately need these. Next time you're on a call with anyone, before you get off the call, please ask them, hey, who's your digital agency?
Yeah.
Do you mind if we contact them about our amazing partner program? And someone will say yes, and they'll give an email, but at least they'll give an agency name.
Yeah.
And then she gives them $50 or something like that for each one that she gets.
Oh, okay. So a little affiliate sort of, or just that little, courtesy.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you're not
Thank you. I think we're going to put that on our and our lead gen form straight away. I could get that done by next week. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important that it's in the CRM lead generation form for sure for all net new. But if you want to go backwards, the salespeople are going to go back in their pipeline. They're going to call everyone. You can even run like a little internal growth games type event where you get the whole team to rally around. Hey, we're going to help partnerships this week, and we're going to do a bunch of different things for partnerships. And one of those things is to have the salespeople reach back to all of their old accounts and say, real quick, we're doing this really great thing for our partnerships team. We've got some great incentives. If you have a digital agency that you love, we love to talk to them. We've got some great stuff for them. And I'm sure most of those people will reply with, yeah, actually, we worked with these guys in the past. They were great. Here's John, and here's his email.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier, but yeah, that seems to me like to be one of the best lead sources that we could start with when we're starting out, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, if they're already working with your agency, 100%. And then the step further is to find out what they're working with that agency on. So I don't know what Ashley's fields looked like, but it would be the name of the agency, the contact person at that agency, the email of that person, and then a notes area for what that user is working with that agency or was. I wouldn't even say who do you have now? I'd say, who have you worked with in the entire span of your business? If you've worked with an e-commerce agency, I'd love to know who they are. We're currently revamping our program, and we've got a ton of great incentives. If you have a great agency, I'd love to talk to them. And I'm sure they'll give that they'll give that to the sales.
Because you can just say, because gee, well, whoever you've been working with has done a great job for you. So it's a win-win.
And you're not trying to sell them anything. You're inviting them to become more of an expert in your product. And if they currently are working with that agency, why would they not want that agency to be an expert in your product? It makes total sense. So yeah, get with your sales team and see if you can customize a little bit of a area of Salesforce for just that. I would do that. And then as usual, guys, we're going to cut this one up and post it with notes and links and resources inside of the collective. So if you do not have access to this right here, I'm just going to share my screen in case some of you haven't seen this. One more time. But you go into courses. This, I don't even know what it looks like for all of you because I'm the admin, of course, but we're going to organize all this a little bit better and put some more resources in here. So when we post something, when we make it live, if you are in this, you'll get a notification. Great. If you are not in this, please just chat me your email and I'll have to just invite you this way. Right? So do that if you haven't already. And I think if you just click on this link right here, you can just request access to, I think. Still learning that. But thank you guys so much. Will, MVP for sure, as usual, man. I know it's not ideal time for you, these things, but you showed up. Crushed it, man. Let's talk offline, and we'll see you guys next week. We go back to our typical schedule. We've got a workshop with Remington at Impulse Creative. Killer dude, if you haven't heard this guy. So we're going to dig into his persona, find out what he needs and how he works with partners. Talk soon, guys. Take care.